So
he shows up, and of all the things she could do and all the power she's displayed so far, she punches him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And he just collapses. He's like, ugh.
Yeah, just a punch. No lightning fingers, no glowing hand she shoves into his chest.
And she just punches his shoulder and just leaves.
And he just drops.
So then it's back to the son and the nerdy girl at the end of their date, and she keeps hinting she wants, like, oh, yeah, why didn't you come in and stay the night? And he's kind of like, And so they have sex, but it's not shown at all. The next shot is just him bolting upright in bed in a cold sweat, and it looks like, and she pops up and she's like, oh, are you okay? And he looks fucking traumatized.
Yes.
Like he just had the worst sex of his life. And his explanation to try to get out, because he's trying to get the hell out of her house. He's like,
yeah, it seems like
I
that
gotta
awkward...
go check on my dad's friend and look for Banning. And she's like, oh, well, I'll go with you. And he's like,
no, he's like, no, that's fine. He's totally trying to ditch her, so it's really awkward.
So then it cuts to this dude back at his dad's house, and he's meeting up with the dude who just got punched, and he's like, oh, like he's like in bad shape.
My
like,
head.
Yeah, my head. Like that punch to the shoulder really shook me up.
Yeah.
And the detective shows up.
Yeah, the detective, the mean jerk detective, and the token black detective.
With the customs people, because somehow this still relates. Oh, I guess it kind of relates to customs because there's the artifact.
Yeah.
Anyways, they just show up for no explainable reason.
Yeah, they're just at the house. I guess it's because the uncle professor got killed, so they're asking questions about that, but they're not at the office that the uncle professor got killed at. They're at the house that has nothing to do.
They're trying to explain to the detective all this stuff about Nephritis and Banning, and he's like, well, who the hell is Banning? And he's like, this is bullshit. And he's just like getting, the skeptical detective is getting outraged, even though they're feeding him all the evidence and everything, and he's just baffled, and he's got his little notepad, and he's trying to jot notes, so they slip out this really obviously open door. I guess, onto a patio.
Yeah, as like the detective's turned around to write on his notepad. He turns around
and he slips out, and then he's like, damn it. Like, oh, they got away.
And while they're at the house, Nephritis has shown up at the nerdy girl's apartment, and it seems like there's going to be some more lesbianism going on, but nothing like that ever happens, so... she's just like sitting in her lap awkwardly.
Yeah, Nephritis is sitting on the nerdy girl's lap, reminiscing about how she killed her uncle, and the nerdy girl's trying to show her most anguished face, but it looks just kind of like she's awkward. Trying not to laugh.
Or like she has to fart or go to the bathroom and she's trying to
really
hold it
awkward
in.
facial expressions.
Yes. So then the son and the father's friend realize that she was alone at the apartment and that Nephritis is probably there, so they rush out and get Banning for some reason.
They go to Banning's apartment
and cut the scarab out of his chest.
Yeah, they pull out his switchblade or whatever and just hold it under a lighter, because that's perfectly sufficient to sanitize it and to sterilize it.
Oh, I remember. They know that the girl's at the apartment, so like the detective. This all happens before they escape. The detective sends the token black detective over to see if she's okay, and they're like, oh, there was a struggle, blah, 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 she's gone.
Yeah, she's vanished.
So that's why they escape out of the house, and they end up at Banning's house.
They go to Banning's house, put the lighter to this switchblade, and he's like, oh, he's got a scarab in his heart. Suddenly the dad's friend just knows everything about how this works.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, there's a scarab in his heart. She's probably using it to control him. Like,
yeah, just miraculously knows.
How do you extrapolate all of that stuff from like a bloody stain on his shirt
and from
or
like a lump that's like moving around?
So he dices this dude's chest open and pulls out a scarab that's supposed to be attached to his heart, but it's outside of his rib cage.
Yeah, it's just under the skin.
And so Banning wakes up, and the first thing he says, they say something about like, oh, we saved your life, and he says, so bill me already.
Yeah.
Like, again with the quippiness. And
terrible jokes.
So
they decide to take Banning with them to... How did they even know where she was going to be at?
It's not explained where she is or how.
Oh, Banning knows where it's at because he helped build the little shrine.
Oh, yeah. He built the altar thing.
They take Banning and go to the shrine, and it
looks like it's from King Kong.
Yeah, it really does, because she's tied up there. The nerdy girl is tied up like the Virgin Sacrifice, and it looks like King Kong. So they take Banning with them, and the customs agents follow behind them, and so they all end up in this dirt lot.
They take Banning and immediately determine that they can't trust him, so they're going to leave him at the car, even though they're kind of holding him hostage.
Yeah.
So they're like, eh.
He's like, I'm not going down there, and they're just like, all right, we'll go by ourselves.
Yeah, so they go on up ahead, and the father's friend holds up some sort of artifact or something at Nephratis, and he's like, stop in the name of Amun-Ra, and she instantly turns into like red dust.
And
like,
he just disappears.
And we're like, okay, well that's
so he's just gone all of a sudden.
And then
the
Banning comes.
Yeah, the son gets knocked out somehow, and Banning shows up, and he gets shot, or she blows something up next to him, and he like falls over. And
she tries to control him with the scarab, but realizes that it's not in his chest anymore, so she can't control him. But somehow is unable to use all the other powers she's used to kill people so far.
Yeah, and the customs agents show up also, and they go down there and they start shooting at her, and she zaps one of them, and
the custom agents show up and hold her at gunpoint because. Even though they have no idea what's going on, they're like, we'll hold her at gunpoint.
Yeah, we'll just point guns at her.
Sacrifice altar. And she says, who the hell are you? How does this ancient Egyptian mummy know the phrase, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Or even the concept of what hell is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this writing.
So she says that and zaps one of them, and he disappears. The other one takes like 3 shots, runs to his car, starts to drive away. She blows up what I guess is another landmine underneath his car.
Yeah.
And it cuts to the car rolling over, but it's like almost daylight. Like they had to shoot this scene at another time.
And then back to them, and it's nighttime again.
It's completely pitch black night. And so Banning's on the ground, and
she pulls out a machete, and she's about to impale Banning with his machete. So nerdy player guy, the son of the first dude that was killed, goes up to the altar and is untying the girl, who looks absolutely delighted at this. Yeah. She's like giggling tied to this altar.
And she takes off the necklace that she has on.
She has some necklace on, which isn't explained.
Yeah.
She takes it off, and immediately Nephratis starts like her neck is glowing, and she's acting like she's just like seizing. There's all sorts of things going on, and then she turns elderly. And she goes through this whole sequence, and then she just
catches on fire,
flames,
and just burns up.
Somehow removing this necklace that she didn't even have on earlier in the movie, but somehow the removal of it is just causing everything to go to hell.
And Banning at one point through the whole movie, I was expecting this the entire time. I'm pretty sure he calls her Nefertitties.
She calls her he calls her Nefertitties.
And I was expecting that through the whole movie because you think, it's a joke that'll play right in. But no, it's not until the very end, and I'm pretty sure he just yells that.
So as she crumbles into this like burning pile, Banning walks up he pulls out a cigarette. He hasn't been a smoker this entire movie. It's well established that he loves his Miller High Life, but he's never smoked. He pulls out a cigarette and lights
says,
it on her burning body.
Yeah, he goes, got a light, and then bends down and lights it on her burning body. Like, typical, like, trying to be a hard ass, but joking about it. And he says, got a light.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but then doesn't the movie just end?
Well, they like walk away. The 3 of them walk away, and it shows her burned like skeleton.
Oh yeah, and then the rat.
There's a rat that crawls under her hand,
and then the skeletal hand pulls the rat.
Like grabs the rat and pulls it in like it's still alive. So it's going to use the rat to restore part of her body to where she can get strong enough to kill more people and restore more of herself. And then it ends. And then it just goes to black, and that's the end of the movie. So, overall.
We found this movie by looking on Netflix website under movies that were similar to Troll 2. And I can say that it's definitely similar in the fact that it's terrible.
It's very, very bad.
Not as bad as Troll 2, though. I would give it a higher rating than Troll 2. What would you rate it out of 10?
Oh, man. I know I gave Troll 2 like 2.5 to 3 out of 10. Mm-hmm. I'd have to say this is easily 1.5, maybe 2.
Really?
Well, it's just...
Think about the tits.
Titties make me want to give it a higher rating. But I just can't get over Banning and how much of a douchebag he is through the entire film.
He was the most unlikable protagonist.
Yeah.
And
his one-liners and just how he answers everyone, it's like, I would want to punch him in the face if I had to deal with this guy at all.
Usually when you're trying to present the like bad guy, good guy, like the slightly unlikable protagonist,
with
the
dark
gruff guy,
history,
usually reveal like the one redeeming factor, like he actually has a daughter who he really loves.
But Banning
or
has none.
He used to be a good guy, but he has no redeeming quality.
None.
He's just a dick through and through.
Through the entire movie.
Allegiance to nobody, really confusing character, and he stows Miller High Lifes up every crevice and nook and cranny that he can find, and in his own body, in his apartment. I mean, I'm surprised at the end of the movie he didn't pull a Miller High Life out of her burnt body.
Yeah.
He's like a magician with those things.
And going by the Miller High Life commercials where they want it to look like regular people beer, he's like the exact type of guy that they wouldn't let him drink the Miller High Life. Like, they'd be like, nope.
So your rating on this is 1.5 out of 10?
Oh, God. Yeah, maybe a 2.
The
I don't know.
The dialogue was slightly better, so I think I gave a 2 to Troll 2, but I would give this a 3, I think. And that's pretty much the upper threshold of a rating I could give to this kind of movie.
The only reason I gave Troll 2 a higher rating is Troll 2 made me laugh a lot more. This one, I laughed a lot, but it wasn't nearly as much. And I guess with... It was awkward and funny, and that stripper scene, it really was funny.
Yeah, they could have just, I guess, had the stripper scene. The stripper scene was pretty actually like laughably funny because during the brawl, she's like pretending to shoot at the cops with her little toy gun and stuff. And apparently, I'm not confirmed on this, but I think that stripper is also the lady in the scene in the movie Airplane when everybody's panicking and this woman runs across the aisle of the plane and like her tits are out. I'm pretty sure that's the same lady. I'm not 100% on that. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the same woman that said she was in Airplane.
Yeah, I guess after all, I should give it a higher rating because overall the
better dialogue than Troll 2.
Yeah, and I guess the special effects overall were better too. So yeah, I want to change mine. You gave it a 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably maybe 3. Yeah, I'd say about a 3 is actually good.
3 out of 10. The Tomb from 1986.